Now, can we have your name, sir?
Guy Charteris Franks,
Now, Guy, how old are you?
63.
Just a young fella.
Yep.
It's good age, 63, eh? If you're still kicking around, yeah.
My mum passed away at 90 and my dad passed away at 93, so
You got something
it's
to
in the
aim
genes.
for. Yeah, you got
Yeah.
something to aim for.
Yeah.
First surfboard. Can you remember your first surfboard?
Yep, it was a brown Dunlop, single fin, around about the 8 foot mark, no leg rope, and I'm pretty sure Gary Orvich made it.
Gary Irish, mate. Yeah. So did you buy that in Whangarei?
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
And was
Yep.
it new or second hand?
No, second hand.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And that was a good board?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, the first very short single fin on it,
Yeah.
but yeah, to start off with.
Yeah. So
And I used to, my mum had a Fiat Bambina, and I used to put this surfboard on the Fiat Bambina.
how did you tie it on? Because they had quite a round
Yeah,
roof. Did you have a
just
roof rack?
all over it. Yep.
Yeah.
And it had to be very, very privileged to take that Bambina out to Sandy Bay for
Yeah.
For a surf
Your
on
mum
Sunday.
gave you a bit of warning that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
had to look
Yeah.
after it?
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Good old mum. So whereabouts did you start surfing?
Sandy Bay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Why did you start surfing? Can you remember, or was it just because everyone else was getting in? for
Yeah,
it?
no, it was just some of my mates were into it.
Yeah.
Always liked the water.
Yeah.
Back in those days, quite obviously, surfing wasn't the in thing. It was more like hippies and, you know,
Yeah.
the name of, if you're a surfer, well, you're a bad bugger.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, just generally got into it.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you belong to the Tati Club, or you knew about that at those days? Or?
I didn't belong to the club, but I knew it existed.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, did you have a wetsuit in your early days? How did you get on in winter?
I don't think, I can't remember whether we had a wetsuit or not. It was mainly, in those days, summer surfing, I think
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Because in the winter time, I was cycling.
Yeah. So you're a
Amazing.
competitor cyclist?
Yeah, with
yeah.
Mars and Wheelers.
Yeah, yeah. So can you remember roughly what year you started surfing? Not that it matters, but
It would have been
mid-60s or something?
Yeah, mid-60s, because Arnold Frank Summer was started in 65.
Yeah.
So it was about, yeah,
Were you going to school,
1963.
or were you just probably still going to school, were you then, or?
yeah, still at school.
Yep,
Yep,
yep.
yep.
Best surfboard,
Best surfboard?
the one you got now, or have you had one that you wished you'd never sold, or?
I think the best one from memory was an 8'6" Rodney Davison.
Yeah,
Shark fin, good leg rope. But of course back then I probably weighed about 80 kgs instead of 105.
and did you sell that to get another one, or what happened to that?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. All my surfboards, moved them on to upgrade.
You had one of those days where you've gone surfing and the surf's been fantastic. You must have had a few of those, but there's any that stand out where you've just had a ball?
Probably the best surfing I've ever had is at Wananaki Bar, and this is only about 7 or 8 years ago, where I was in the water for 9 hours. The tide was coming in, and when we got out, the tide was going out again.
Yeah.
It was just a magical day, bugger all wind, 4 to 5 foot. I had had peanut butter sandwiches for breakfast, and I tell you what, I was bloody hungry when I got out.
Is that when someone put a pie and left it on your
Yeah,
car or
yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
That's the day when I said to Herman, he had had enough, Herman de Croo. I said, for God's sake, get me a pie and leave it on my ute. And I get back out there, and some dog would bloody... No, the pie was left on my ute, and I was out bloody tired or whatever, I didn't have the pie, I took it home, and then I was about to have it, I left it on me, and my family dog got it. So I never got the pie that Tim had left for me from the Wananaki store.
Surf heroes, when you first started surfing, did you have any guys that you sort of looked up to locally or overseas?
Alan Burns,
Yeah, yeah.
Warwick Birchall and I watched him at Waipu Cove one day,
And was he a real...
and he was just ripping it.
Yeah.
Probably on about a 6'6".
Yeah,
Nat Young, of course.
yeah.
All those surfers of the area, just you wish you could surf like them, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think we were pretty good, but we never went into competition surfing.
Yeah. Can I ask what was your first car besides your mum's own? What was your first real car?
My first car was an Austin A40.
Austin. And did you go surfing in that?
Went surfing in that. Those are the days when I used to pick up Colin Lowe and those guys, and we used to go through the Kaietea
Yep.
to get to Sandy Bay.
That was a pretty rough road. It had those
Very rough
corrugations. Yeah.
Dusty as anything, and this Austin A40, it never had where the gear shift was, it never had a rubber grommet thing over the thing, and we used to call it the mincer. We used to throw our orange peels down and be firing it up through.
So you'd get out of that car pretty dusty, wouldn't you?
Very much so.
So you had to go surfing no matter what the surf was like.
You'd get to the beach, you're covered in dust, have a surf, and then by the time you got home, you're covered in dust again.
Oh, I love that.
And many a time we would be coming around the long way after a few beers at Tutukaka pub, and I remember one day we were two abreast, the Austin A40 and Hawkins.
Right. The blonde-headed guy, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of his name. Did he have the bookshop in town
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
while?
It'll come to me. And we were two abreast coming down past Kirapaka there, the dusty roads, and you know, if we did that these days,
You'd get shot,
Yeah,
you'd
lose
lose
your
your car.
licence for 12 months.
Yeah. Surf accidents, any accidents out there? You've been one of the lucky ones?
yeah, no, touch wood. Yep.
Been very lucky.
Never seen a shark in all my years of surfing.
Yeah.
Plenty of dolphins.
Yeah.
Plenty of stingrays.
Our last favourite surf trip. Have you ever had a trip that you've gone away surfing when you were younger, or even nowadays, that's just been fantastic, that stands out?
Raglan.
Raglan?
Yep.
Yeah.
We used to leave, well, we would go down every weekend because I was courting a fairly attractive female down there in those days. But one year we went away for 3 weeks and we started it straight to Raglan, and we ended up New Plymouth, Wangmachara, up the east coast, and
Yeah. Was that over Christmas or just?
yeah, during the Christmas holidays.
Yeah. Did you say at that big motor camp at Raglan, it was a pretty big motor camp, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, we didn't. We just used the Freedom Camp.
Yeah.
back then.
Wherever. Yeah.
Sleep in the back of the Holden Kingswood
Yeah.
and with a sort of portable barbecue and just ate mussels and
Yeah.
drank beer and surf.
Live off the land. Now you're telling me about a trip to Raglan where this sort of car came down and had a few troubles. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, there's we just got out of the water and toweling ourselves off, taking our wetsuits off, and all of a sudden we saw this Ford Cortina station wagon starting to go up in smoke, and still don't know what caused it to this day, but there was a hell of a bloody fire there.
Yeah.
And I took a photo of it, and it was just, literally wasn't going anywhere after that day.
Completely red. Did it?
They weren't surfers, but whether someone threw a cigarette butt in it or what, I don't know, but it went up now.
It wasn't a cold day and you guys were trying to warm up, was it? No. I can understand if it was someone that dropped in on you, you might have set fire. We weren't like that too much, were we? Favourite beach? What's your favourite beach?
I keep coming back to Wananaki,
Yeah.
Wananaki Bar. The beauty of that place is that not many people go there. You can be crowded some days, but most people surf Sandy Bay and they just can't be bothered going that extra further
Yeah,
to get to Wananaki. And the beauty of Wananaki is that it works from low tide to high and high to low, whereas other places on the east coast like Ngunguri Bar normally just from low tide to half tide.
yeah. And it's a pretty powerful wave when it's a fair size, isn't it?
And nice safe sandbar, no
Yeah.
rocks to worry about.
Yeah.
And it's a good spot.
Now, you've done a bit of travelling around. You've been to Aussie, you've been to Hawaii.
Haven't been to Hawaii,
Yeah,
not surfing anyway.
yeah. Been
Spent
up,
my honeymoon at Noosa Heads
yeah.
in '98.
You wouldn't have time to go surfing while you're on your honeymoon, would you?
Don't you worry about that. You can't surf at night.
Or were you just educating your wife at that stage?
This is what married life is going to be like.
She
Still
didn't
surfing.
leave you after the honeymoon, did you?
No,
Yeah.
we're still together after 14 years.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, we stayed at a motel right on the beach of Noosa Heads, and you could surf the first point and then walk around to Tea Tree, and it was
So
right aboard for 10 days, and I should have bought one.
was there many guys out at that stage surfing?
Oh, 15 to 20 guys,
Yeah,
but you know, it's such a long break.
yeah,
Everyone, there was no jostling or whatever.
yeah, no hassles there.
No.
Nowadays, I think some that you're really going to have trouble to catch a wave there,
Yeah,
aren't you, if you went there now? Yeah.
Unless,
Anyone else that, well, usually ask this, anyone else you think I should interview that, probably Colin would be a good one, I haven't even got him down on my list, but.
yeah, Colin Lowe would be a good
Yeah,
prospect.
yeah,
I'm not sure whether he's still surfing,
yes he is, and he's still making boards.
is he?
Yeah,
Because the last time I heard he was living still down at Para Bay.
yeah.
I remember Colin when he was flatting in Marnie Road just before the traffic lights, and he was making boards there.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of a party house as well.
Actually, I had one of his twin fins and I sold it to my sister, and I'm kicking myself because it was a real good nick one. And you can probably never replace it, it's just gone.
Yeah.
So tell me about this Holden station wagon you had, because you must have clocked up a few miles in that. What a great surf wagon.
I bought this brand new Holden station wagon, 202 Kingswood, in 1974 for $5,184.
That would have been a fair bit of money too, wouldn't it?
Yep, back then it was, from Western Motors.
Yeah.
Put a roof rack on it, had a mattress made for the back of it,
Had
by
it
Tom
made?
Brown,
Made specially?
Yep.
Yeah,
vinyl cover and all the rest of it.
yeah,
Because it was going to be our hotel for quite a while.
yeah.
And me and Warwick Birchall and my favourite dog, Shane, a pet Alsatian, many a trip to Raglan, and back in those days the old Raglan pub was a pretty popular watering spot, and I had driving lights fitted to the Kingswood because of when we were between the pub and getting back to Manu Bay, a lot of possums on the road at night, and Shane used to have his head hanging out the back of the Holden Kingswood, and he'd spot these possums, would pull up and he'd jump out, and next thing there'd be fur all over the road.
So what happened to your car? Did you run it into the ground, or did you sell
Yeah,
it?
I can't remember the mileage, how many Ks on it, but 1974, and then around about, I think I sold it in 1985, upgraded a little bit to a 450 SE Mercedes.
I bet you didn't put a mattress in.
No, and it cost a hell of a lot more than $5,000.
Oh, that's brilliant. Now you were telling me earlier about we used to go to Raglan quite a bit, but you'd sort of, there were some sections there quite cheap that you could have bought. Can you tell me a little about that?
When we used to go down to Raglan, we got pally with a couple of the name of John and Eileen Robson, who had a permanent house above Whale Bay, and also they had a batch in front on the water's edge of Whale Bay as well, and so we got to know them pretty well, and so they said, well, you guys can stay on the batch as long as you do some gardening and mow the lawns, etc., which we did.
Yeah.
And eventually that batch came for sale, and in hindsight, a man should have bought it because it sold for around $5,000.
Yeah.
We would have spent $5,000 in the Regan pub over 12 months.
Yeah.
But being young and silly in those days, well, you didn't have the foresight to
Yeah.
look down the track further. We were just having fun.
Yeah.
And
It would have been a fair bit of money in those days, but
Oh,
looking
definitely.
back,
Yep.
it's what would be
Yep.
millions of dollars with
Yep.
a
Yep.
house and section now, isn't it?
and of course down there now they're selling for over $1 million.
Yeah,
So
yeah. But
we could have been very wealthy
Yeah.
surfers.
yeah, yeah. Same at Wananeki, Sandy Bay,
Yep.
and all those
Yep.
part out.
Yep.
It's yeah.
Back in the days of heading to Sandy Bay, we always, another friend of mine, Peter Crispin, we thought whether we'd ever live today to the road to be Tarsiel to Sandy Bay.
Yeah.
Well, as we know now, it's Tarsiel right through to Hekarangi.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
But yeah, so that's quite a while ago.
yeah. I think we can thank a local councillor for that because he lived out that way, and I think he had a couple of accidents.
Dave Cullum or whoever.
He did, and he got that road fixed, and I'll take you, Dave, for that. Yeah. Yeah, I know that road very well. So if you know, if you want to go surfing, you go Raglan, Wananeki first,
Yep,
and then
Yep.
where
Then
else
if
have you
then if
surfed
it's not
around?
working there, or
Yep.
we've misdiagnosed, we come back to Sandy Bay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Between Sandy Bay and Wananeki, but if we know that Wananeki's on, we go to Wananeki.
Yeah, yeah. Good on you. Yeah.
And normally don't buy pies these days. Beetroot and peanut butter sandwiches.
Probably a little bit better for you, is it? Can I ask what sort of music you were listening into when you first started surfing?
Pink Floyd.
Yeah. And you were lucky enough for radio in your car?
Certainly did.
Yeah.
We made sure it had a cassette player in it, which
Yeah.
back in those days it was cassettes.
Yeah.
And listened to Pink Floyd many a time.
Yeah, I'm also going to ask you. Whereabouts else have you surfed in New Zealand? Anywhere that
I've
stands
surfed Tiari Point,
Yeah,
Whangamata,
yeah,
Ahopi Beach,
yeah,
Langs Beach,
yeah.
Mangawai Bar, Ocean Beach, the Power Site, Waipu Cove, in the Tulikaka Harbour on a big day.
Now that would be
Well-
pretty rare. That must have been a huge swell to get
It
in
was
that.
a huge swell.
Yeah.
I can't remember the year,
Yeah.
but
It would have been bowler or after.
no, after Bowler. I think
Yeah.
it was around about pretty recent, about 2000 I think it was.
Yeah, yeah,
It was a huge Nori swell,
yeah,
and Korowhiri Bay where you water ski, it had about an 18-inch
Yeah.
wave coming through
Yeah.
there.
because the people that don't know where that is, it's such a sheltered bay
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
just unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
that's-
that must have been a massive
It was,
swell.
yep.
Yeah,
Nangaroo Bar, Pardia Bar,
yeah,
New Plymouth, Raglan,
yeah,
Bailey's Beach,
yeah.
Aipara.
So you like chippies?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good spot up there.
When you first started going to shippies, did you go right round the rocks or did you just surf in the bay?
Mainly surfed in the bay,
Yeah,
and we used to start at the Mary Motor Camp there.
yeah,
And if the bay was small, we would do our trip around to
Yeah.
Mokorau.
yeah,
Had many a good surf at Shippies.
yeah.
Tapurupuru Bay, top of the
That's
North Island.
a lot of people don't know where that
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah.
right up Cape Reinga
Yeah.
and it's down to the right.
Yeah.
And I used to camp there with my family and we had a little ball there.
Yeah.
There's a few
Yeah.
rocks you got to
Yeah,
dodge,
yeah,
but
in the middle there. Yep.
can be a great little wave. Yeah,
Nice little wave in there.
yeah,
Had a good surf at Takao Bay.
yeah,
Got pally with the Marionas back in the 70s there, and a mate had a Hillman in, and we used to drive down to the beach, down to Takao,
So is that, there's got a gate across it now, or
Yeah,
it did for a while, didn't it?
you've got to pay the Maoris so much to get in now.
Yeah.
But I remember one day at Takao there was a wild mountain goat. He had a beautiful set of horns on him, and of course what do surfers do, they torment this bloody goat. And this is after a good surf, and this goat was on the rocks, etc., and it's quite rocky on that right hand point. So what do we start throwing apple cores at this bloody goat? And next thing he starts to charge us. Well, you know, human beings can't run on rocks very fast, but goats can. And I tell you what, it was pretty quick.
You had a bit of respect
he
for the
didn't
old
get
goat?
us, but we didn't tease him after that because we realised he's quicker than us on those rocks.
Did you surf places like Paradise Bay in that
Yep,
area?
Paradise Bay.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a great little bay, isn't it? Which unfortunately you can't get to unless you've got a key.
That's right.
I think over summer you can get in there, but
Coming down the coast just from Wananeka, Maurice's Bay. Matapuri Bar.
yeah. I think that's why we're so lucky up here. We mightn't have surf all the time, but we've got such a lot of beaches that are probably 3/4 of an hour away. You can take your pick, and 10 beaches, which we're probably spoiled for choice, really, aren't we?
Yep.
Really are.
Never surfed the South Island, but I've always wanted to surf Murdering Bay.
Yeah.
And I think that's around the Christchurch area or somewhere.
Yeah, right out the end there.
That's apparently a long right-hander.
Yeah.
But always back in my mind of, you know, Kaikoura and all those places with seals and bloody white pointers. So
Yeah.
at
The
this
locals
stage I
don't
still
worry
haven't
about
seen a shark, and I don't want to, you know, start seeing one now.
Let
Let alone the difference in water temperature.
Yeah. This is a few years ago. I was at Sandy Bay surfing, and we left and going up the hill, and I looked back, and there was a huge shark on the inside of the breakers. Like the surfers were out there, and the shark was right in the shore. We turned around, and that would have been like 15, 16 foot shark.
Yeah.
But that, no one knew it was there. We turned around and cleared the beach.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it just, I thought sharks might be out where the surf. It wasn't. It was right in the in the beach, which surprised me.
Yeah.
But well, there's always in the back of your mind that no one's been eaten in Norfolk by a shark,
Exactly.
or attacked, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Guy, I think that's a marvellous interview, and I really appreciate it. So,
No worries.
thank you.
Bit of history.
Yeah, it is, and I really appreciate the time of coming in and telling me those stories.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Laurie.
Treasure.
Yeah.
That's marvellous, mate. That's like I've known you guys for just before we disappeared. How many children have you got?
I've got 42-year-old son.
Yep.
Got married in 1970. Unfortunately, the marriage didn't last, but the son is still around.
Yep.
And then remarried in 98 to my long-time girlfriend of the 70s.
Yep.
And no kids, but she had a child from a previous relationship, and we've got 2 beautiful grandkids, 6 and 2.
Yeah. So you hoping that they're going to maybe take up surfing, or have you had them on a surfboard yet?
Haven't had Jack on a surfboard yet, but that'll come.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they live in Auckland.
Yeah. No doubt they come up
Yeah,
your way
yeah,
now and again
yeah.
at Christmas or something.
I think there's more chance of him being a top soccer player than a surfer.
Yeah, probably more money in being a soccer player than a surfer, just quietly, unless they're a standard.
But he's got beautiful blonde hair, and he would look pretty cool at the beach on a surfboard.
Oh, you'd have to take them out. Yeah. Thanks, Guy.